Hello, my name is Raquel Garcia, and this is my presentation for my data share for the case study project. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the current activity I have going. So for this project, I have decided to focus on, it's actually a family. So it's three participants, Rosario, Carlos, and their daughter, Jessica. She's 20 years old. Um, and that's who I decided to focus this study on. I have already conducted first interviews. They've been transcribed. We're in the second interview process already. We did also conduct a home visit to get some literary artifacts and other things that we have collected for this study. So I'm gonna focus on four major points that I have seen as far as the data and the participant connection. So the first one is acceptance. And so I did notice that the participants were often, I guess, hesitant or reluctant to say that they are immigrants. Like the fact that they are immigrants, they almost even were embarrassed or ashamed to say that they were immigrants. That's one thing. Another thing is assimilation. So the participants did demonstrate strong assimilation tendencies to their current lifestyle. They've been living here for a couple of years now, so they have tried to fit in, I guess, as best as they possibly can to the American culture and the American lifestyle. Um, Throughout the interview, I did notice a lot of code switching, especially with Carlos. Um, he did go back and forth very often, um, even though English is his second language. Um, so he does speak English pretty decently, but he did go back and forth a lot, and we'll go into detail a little bit more into that. And the last point is the phonetic spelling. So when we did the home visits and in gathering a little more information, I did get to see that the phonetic spelling is evident in her writing. So I was able to see that through the home visit and the artifacts that I collected. So I'm going to jump into each topic. So the first one was acceptance. Like I said, it is very evident that they're not generally very proud of being called immigrants. So throughout the interviews I conducted, I would often ask questions, even at the first time, like a basic question, just where were you born? And Carlos immediately jumped in. Well, I was born in Veracruz, I think he said, but I've lived here my whole life. Like right away, just kind of embarrassed of the fact that he was not born in America, which I mean, absolutely no shame whatsoever, but I think he just felt a little hesitant to even admit that he is an immigrant because he was born there but immediately moved to the United States as a young boy. So the second point that I see in the correlation between my participants and the data is assimilation. So I had to do a little research into what assimilation really is because there's lots of different aspects. But here it's basically just assimilating into their current culture or surroundings where they're living now. So he did talk a lot about like football. He's very into football, American football. That's not even something I enjoy watching, but he knows a lot about the players. He knows a lot about the statistics, um, and so that's something that he assimilated into as now that he's living here. And so I was trying to link this in and looking up a couple of articles also. So a lot of research has shown that a lot of immigrants receive like net negative, like that kind of sometimes are often looked down upon. A lot of negative perception of immigrants, and this is coming from non-immigrant people. So I think that maybe the assimilation is kind of forced upon them because they do receive this kind of lashback, like, hey, you're an immigrant or you don't speak the language. So they kind of want to fit in right away, which is where the assimilation comes in. The next point is the code switching. Like I said at the beginning, he was code switching a lot back and forth throughout the interviews. And I'm talking mainly about Carlos. I know I did interview the other two ladies, but I think I was placing a lot of emphasis on him just because he had a lot to say. But he even had mentioned that he doesn't even really truly know how to write in Spanish, although Spanish is his native language, only because he's lived here for so long. But he did go back and forth a lot. A lot of the words that he mentioned, a lot of things that he said, even were in English. He answered sometimes in English, and so that's very evident in, at least with him, the code switching, and I think that's something that he does very often. Um, Towards the end, this is the phonetic spelling. So, and I kind of like, I currently teach pre-K, but I've taught pre-K K first. So at the middle of the year, we have to do this assessment called TELPAS, and it measures how well they can read, write, and speak and listen in the English language. And so when I did the home visit or when I collected the artifacts, even just like on a grocery list or like a text message that Rosario would send, I can see that it's very evident that she does use her primary language when writing in English. So it's a lot of phonetically spelled words. So, for example, one thing that just I can remember, it's just like a quick text message, and she was trying to write the word shop, like the shop. We have a shop in the back. So she just tried to just text me the word shop, and she spelled it like, if you're familiar with Spanish, and it would probably make sense, but she spelled it like CHAP, like chop, because that's how she says it. Um, and so just a lot of that, that's some things that I have noticed with her, on grocery lists or on just like text messages. So those are the artifacts that I collected with her. So just to wrap it up, I just wanted to put in this quote that Obama once said, says, "What makes someone American isn't just blood or birth, but allegiance to our founding principles and faith in the idea that anyone from anywhere can write the next chapter of our story." So I know this case study is mainly focusing on literacy practices, or anything like that, but I feel very strongly about the, I guess, immigration, coming from a family of immigrants myself, having married an immigrant. So a lot of that I feel has, I mean, it's very true. And I know a lot has been said about the American dream, and maybe it's not necessarily like that, but I feel like we are currently in a better place, where if my parents had kept us in Mexico, or we had grown up in a different country, I don't know if I would be where I am today. Same thing with my husband. He always says the same thing. Like, I don't think I would be where I am if I had stayed back in my place of birth. That is all. I know I'm still working on the continuing working on this case study, but it's been very interesting. It's been a lot of fun gathering all this information and getting to know these individuals on a more personal level, because I have known this family for quite some time. Um, and I really hadn't taken the time to ask them, hey, like, tell me your story. Like, how did you come here? And so it's been really interesting to get to know them a little bit better, all three of them. And I know that they've been pretty hesitant about talking to me and telling me, this and this, but they've come to feel a little more comfortable. I know because we know each other. But it's been a lot of fun. I'm still working on finalizing the project, but that is what I have so far. So thank you so much for listening.